Your dime could be worth a lot more than 10 cents. Some Roosevelt and Mercury dimes with rare dates, mint marks, or small minting errors are selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Check your pocket change. You might be holding a hidden treasure. The 1978 United States one-dime coin is one of those pieces of pocket change that most people overlook without ever realizing the history and hidden potential it carries. At first glance, it seems like nothing more than a small 10-cent coin, light and ordinary, passing quickly through hands and registers. But as with many U.S. coins, the story lies not just in what it appears to be but in the little details, the errors, the minting quirks, and the rare survivors that turn an everyday dime into something worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auctions. The 1978 Roosevelt dime is a perfect example of how something small and common can carry incredible value when looked at closely. To understand the importance of the 1978 dime, we should step back into history. The Roosevelt dime series began in 1946, introduced to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt after his death the previous year. His profile was chosen not only to celebrate his leadership through the Great Depression and World War II but also to symbolize his efforts in fighting polio, a cause that touched millions of Americans. The obverse shows his left-facing portrait, while the reverse features a torch flanked by olive and oak branches, representing liberty, peace, and strength. By 1978, this design had already been in use for more than 3 decades, and it had become an iconic part of everyday American life. But the 1970s were also a time of change for U.S. coinage. Since 1965, silver had been eliminated from dimes, quarters, and half dollars, replaced by a copper-nickel-clad composition due to rising silver costs. The 1978 dime, like all dimes from 1965 onward, was made with an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. While this new composition made the coin less expensive to produce, it also created a new set of challenges in minting, resulting in errors and varieties that today fascinate collectors. One of the key reasons the 1978 dime is so appealing to collectors is the presence of rare minting errors. These errors are not always easy to spot, but once identified, they can significantly boost the value of the coin. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank planchet wasn't properly aligned during striking, are among the most sought after. Depending on how dramatic the misalignment is, these off-center 1978 dimes can sell for $50, $100, or even several $100s if the date is still visible. Coins with large off-center strikes that still display the year 1978 are especially desirable. Another error that collectors pursue is the double die variety. This occurs when the die itself carries a doubling of the design, and when coins are struck, the doubling transfers to the coin. On the 1978 dime, any doubling on the inscriptions such as Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date can turn an ordinary dime into a treasure worth hundreds or more depending on the clarity and grade of the coin. Clipped planchets are another intriguing error. These occur when the blank metal disc used to strike the coin was improperly cut, leaving a curved or straight clip in the finished coin. 1978 dimes with these clips can range in value from $20 to several $100s depending on size and condition. Then there are die cracks and cuds, where breaks in the die leave raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin. While smaller die cracks are worth modest amounts, dramatic cuds that alter the appearance of the coin can command impressive premiums. Collectors are also drawn to high-grade examples of the 1978 dime. Because these coins circulated widely, finding one in pristine condition is challenging. Most have scratches, wear, or discoloration. But coins that have been preserved in mint state condition, especially those graded MS66, MS67, or higher, become rare and valuable. Coins designated as full bands or full torch, meaning the details of the bands around the torch on the reverse are fully visible and sharply struck, are especially desirable. These designations prove the coin was well struck and well preserved, which makes it stand out among the billions of ordinary examples. Auction results for the 1978 dime illustrate just how high the value can climb. A regular 1978 dime in circulation is worth only 10 cents, but a mint state example graded MS67 full torch by PCGS has sold for hundreds of dollars. In one notable auction, a superb MS68 full torch example brought in over $1,000. An extraordinary amount for a coin that most people overlook as pocket change. And when it comes to error coins, the prices are even higher. Off-center errors, dramatic double strikes, and proof-like examples have all crossed auction blocks for several hundred to well over $1,000. These results highlight that even modern coins, when rare in their condition or error, can compete with much older coins in terms of collector value. What makes the 1978 dime even more interesting is its place in the broader timeline of the Roosevelt dime series. It was part of the long-running copper-nickel era that bridged the silver coinage years of the mid-20th century with the modern age of U.S. coin production. For collectors building complete sets of Roosevelt dimes, the 1978 is essential, but for those who specialize in error coins or high-grade moderns, it carries a special appeal because it represents a year where rare varieties and minting quirks captured attention. The sentimental aspect also cannot be ignored. Many people born in or around 1978 seek coins from that year as keepsakes, adding to demand. For these collectors, finding not just any 1978 dime but one in pristine condition or with a rare error makes it even more meaningful. This combination of personal value and numismatic significance adds another layer of engagement to the story of the coin. The hunt for valuable 1978 dimes continues today. Coin roll hunters, collectors, and even casual hobbyists still search through bankrolls, pocket change, and old coin jars in hopes of finding a treasure. It may only take one close inspection of a dime from 1978 to uncover an error variety worth hundreds of dollars. And for those lucky enough to discover a high-grade example with full torch designation or a rare mint error, the rewards can be extraordinary. What makes the story of the 1978 dime so captivating is how it transforms the way we look at everyday objects. It teaches us that even the smallest details matter, that the space of a fraction of a millimeter, a misaligned strike, or a subtle doubling can mean the difference between a dime worth 10 cents and one that sells for hundreds or thousands at auction. It reinforces the excitement of coin collecting, where patience, attention to detail, and curiosity are rewarded, so the next time you come across a dime, especially one from 1978, pause before you dismiss it as just spare change. Look closely at the details, check the condition, and imagine the possibility that you might be holding something far more valuable than it seems. After all, coins like the 1978 Roosevelt dime have proven time and again that hidden treasures are still out there, waiting to be found by those who take the time to look. The 2001 United States one-dime coin may look small, light, and ordinary, but behind that thin silver-colored surface lies a fascinating piece of history. Millions of these coins pass through vending machines, pockets, cash registers, and piggy banks every single year, yet only a fraction of people ever stop to look closely at them. And when they do, many are shocked to discover that some 2001 dimes are worth far more than 10 cents. Depending on condition, error varieties, and rarity, a coin struck in this year can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's begin with the basics. The Roosevelt dime design has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1946, honoring Franklin D. Roosevelt, the nation's 32nd president, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left an enduring legacy. On the obverse, we see Roosevelt's left-facing portrait designed by John R. Sinek. Above his head arches the motto "I in God we trust," while liberty appears along the left side. The date 2001 rests to the lower right of the portrait, and just below Roosevelt's neckline you can spot Sinek's initials JS. The mint mark, either P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco proof coins, sits neatly above the year. On the reverse, we find a design that has remained unchanged for decades. A torch symbolizing liberty flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch representing strength and independence. Surrounding these elements are the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime. While simple, this design encapsulates key American ideals in a compact and elegant way. Now, when it comes to mintages, 2001 was a busy year. Philadelphia struck over 1.5 billion dimes, Denver produced about 1.3 billion, and San Francisco struck around 3 million proof coins for collectors. That means more than 2.8 billion 2001 dimes were released into circulation, making them extremely common. Most of the coins you'll encounter from this year are worn down, showing scratches, nicks, and dull surfaces. In that condition, they're only worth their face value, 10 cents. But as with many coins, the story changes when we start talking about condition and errors. Condition is key in numismatics. A dime that looks average might be worth just a dime, but one in pristine, almost perfect condition can command incredible premiums. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with mint state, MS, coins ranging from 60 to 70. For 2001 dimes, anything graded MS 67 or higher is considered rare. Most coins show too many contact marks or dull luster to reach those levels, especially with billions produced. Yet the rare few that do exist can fetch big money. For example, a 2001 P dime graded MS 68 sold for over $750 at auction, while a 2001 D in the same grade brought nearly $1,000. Think about that, a coin worth 10 cents selling for close to $1,000, simply because it was flawless enough to earn a top grade. Proof coins from San Francisco are another category. These coins were never meant for circulation. They were struck using specially prepared dies and polished planchets to create a deep mirror-like finish. Many were sold in proof sets directly to collectors. A perfect PR70 deep cameo example of a 2001 S dime, with flawless mirrored fields and frosted designs, can sell for $60 to $150. While not as dramatic as circulation strike prices, they still attract strong demand from collectors chasing perfection. But where the 2001 dime really becomes exciting is in its error coins. With billions struck, mistakes inevitably happen, and these mistakes are what collectors love most because they create one-of-a-kind rarities. One of the most popular errors for 2001 is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't properly seated in the press, causing the design to be misaligned. Small off-centers of 5% or 10% might only fetch $20 to $30, but dramatic off-centers of 50% or more, especially when the date is visible, can sell for $200 to $400. A spectacular 2001 P dime struck 70% off-center sold for over $500, making it one of the most dramatic examples of this error type. Another fascinating error is the broad strike. If the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin's rim fails, the metal spreads out more than usual, giving the dime a stretched, distorted look. Broad-struck 2001 dimes often sell for $50 to $150 depending on condition. Double strikes are also captivating. These occur when a coin is struck twice, either overlapping or partially rotated between strikes. A dramatic double-struck 2001 dime can bring $200 to $600, with collectors especially eager for coins where both strikes are clearly visible. Then we have die clashes. This happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving faint impressions of the opposite design on both dies. Later coins struck from those dies show ghost-like extra images. A 2001 dime with strong die clash marks might sell for $40 to $120 depending on severity and grade. Clipped planchets are another error to watch for. During the blank cutting process, the metal strip sometimes produces planchets with curved or straight clips, leaving missing portions of the coin. A clipped 2001 dime can range from $30 to $200 depending on size and visibility of the clip. But perhaps the most dramatic and valuable errors are wrong planchet strikes. A dime struck on a penny, nickel, or even a foreign coin planchet is a true rarity. For example, one 2001 dime struck on a cent planchet sold for over $2,000 at auction. These mistakes stand out instantly because the coin looks the wrong size, color, or weight compared to a normal dime. When we look at auction records, the numbers speak for themselves. Alongside the $750 to $1,000 sales for top-grade MS-68 coins, error coins consistently attract competitive bidding. Off-center errors routinely sell for hundreds, with dramatic examples surpassing $500. Wrong planchet errors have sold in the $1,500 to $2,500 range. Even proof coins in perfect PR70 deep cameo condition command solid premiums. All of this shows how the 2001 dime, though common in everyday circulation, can transform into a small fortune under the right circumstances. It's a perfect reminder that not all coins are created equal. Billions may exist, but only a handful survive in flawless condition or with spectacular errors, and those are the ones collectors will pay dearly to own. It's also worth noting where the 2001 dime fits in the broader history of the Roosevelt dime series. This was still the era of copper-nickel-clad coinage, with the last silver circulation dimes struck back in 1964. But Roosevelt dimes, whether clad or silver, carry significance because they honor a president who was central to American life in the 20th century. Franklin D. Roosevelt led the nation through the darkest years of the Great Depression and guided it to victory in World War II. His connection to the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio made the dime a fitting tribute after his death in 1945. Every time you look at a Roosevelt dime, including those from 2001, you're looking at a piece of American history that ties back to those defining decades. And for collectors, the thrill lies in searching. The next 2001 dime you come across might just be an ordinary 10-cent piece, or it could be one of the rare few that's worth hundreds or even thousands. The difference comes down to details: luster, strike quality, error types, and overall preservation. So, the next time you find a 2001 dime in your pocket change, don't be too quick to spend it. Hold it up to the light. Look for sharp luster, a clean surface, or unusual misstrikes. Could it be a high-grade survivor that deserves certification? Could it show a dramatic off-center strike, a clipped planchet, or a wrong planchet error? Could you be holding something that collectors will pay hundreds or even thousands for? That's the beauty of coin collecting. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. And in the case of the 2001 dime, it proves once again that even the smallest coin can carry big surprises. The 2005 United States Roosevelt dime might seem like one of those coins you barely notice. It's small, silver-colored, and usually slips right past you when you get change at a store. Most people treat it as just another piece of pocket money, spending it without ever taking a second look. But here's where things get fascinating. Beneath that ordinary surface lies a world of hidden stories, rare errors, and values that can take a dime worth 10 cents and turn it into something worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. This is the magic of coin collecting. Finding treasures in the most unlikely places. Let's start with what you see on every 2005 dime. On the front or obverse, there's Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. His portrait has been there since 1946, the year after his death, to honor his leadership and legacy, especially his role in founding the March of Dimes to fight polio. Above his head is the national motto, "In God We Trust." To the left, you see liberty, and just beneath the chin sits the date, 2005. Next to the date is the mint mark, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco proofs. And just below Roosevelt's neck, you can spot the initials JS for John Sinek, the coin's designer, on the back. The reverse, there's a simple but powerful design. A torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left for peace, and an oak branch on the right for strength and independence. Around the edge, United States of America arches along the top, E pluribus unum runs across the middle, and one dime anchors the bottom. It's a design that has been around for decades, steady and familiar, yet each year of issue comes with its own story. Now, when we look at the 2005 dime, the first thing to remember is that it was produced in huge numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1.16 billion of them. Denver added another 1.47 billion. And San Francisco, making coins for collectors, produced around 3.3 million proof examples. When you add those numbers together, that's more than 2.6 billion dimes struck in 1 year. With that kind of mintage, it's no surprise that most 2005 dimes are still only worth face value today. But here's where the story changes, because within those billions, there are gems, and some are worth more than most people would ever expect. Let's talk about condition first. Most 2005 dimes you'll find in circulation are scratched, worn, or have lost their original shine. These are just regular 10-cent pieces. But when a coin survives in pristine condition, without contact marks, with full luster and sharp details, collectors pay attention. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and for modern dimes, anything graded mint state 67 or higher is considered rare. A 2005 D Roosevelt dime graded MS 68 by PCGS once sold for more than $700 at auction. Imagine that, $700 for a dime, simply because it was one of the best preserved examples from its year. Even coins in MS-67 can bring $50 to $150, depending on demand. Proof coins tell another story. These were struck in San Francisco on specially prepared planchets with polished dies, resulting in sharp, mirror-like fields, and frosted designs. They weren't made for circulation but instead sold in proof sets directly to collectors. A flawless 2005 S-proof dime graded PR70 Deep Cameo can sell for $50 to $100. Sometimes more if buyers are chasing perfection. While modern proofs are easier to find in high grades compared to older ones, they're still highly prized by collectors who want complete, flawless sets. But the part that really excites many collectors is the world of mint errors. Errors are the unexpected stars of coin collecting. They happen when something goes wrong in the minting process, when a planchet, die, or press misbehaves, and the result is a coin unlike the billions of standard issues. And 2005 gave us its fair share. One of the most striking types is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet isn't seated properly in the press. Instead of being struck evenly, the design is pushed to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. A minor off-center might be worth $20 or $30, but dramatic ones, with 40% or more missing, especially if the date is still visible, can sell for hundreds. One 2005 dime with an off-center strike sold for $250 because of how unusual and dramatic it looked. Double strikes are another showstopper. If a coin fails to eject properly after being struck once, it might get struck again, creating overlapping designs. Sometimes the second strike is rotated or shifted, making the coin look wild and confusing. A 2005 dime with a bold double strike could bring $150 to $400 depending on how dramatic it is. Collectors love these because they're unique. No two double strikes look exactly the same. Broad strikes are yet another error. Normally, a coin is struck inside a collar that holds it in shape, but if the collar is missing, the coin spreads out like a pancake. These broad-struck dimes look wider and flatter than normal and can be worth $50 to $100. Especially if they remain uncirculated. There are also die clashes, where the two dies strike each other without a planchet in between. When that happens, faint outlines of the reverse design appear on the obverse or vice versa. A 2005 dime with clear die clash marks might fetch $30 to $150, depending on visibility and condition. And then there are wrong planchet errors, some of the most valuable of all. This happens when a dime is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, like a cent or a foreign coin. One of the most famous wrong planchet Roosevelt dimes from this era was struck on a cent planchet, smaller and copper-colored. Errors like this are extremely rare and can sell for thousands of dollars. A 2005 dime struck on a cent planchet once crossed the auction block for nearly $3,000. A jaw-dropping price for what began as a simple mistake at the mint. Clipped planchets are another error type worth noting. These occur when the metal strip used to punch out blanks overlaps during production, leaving coins with curved or straight clips along the edge. These clipped planchet dimes can be worth $40 to $150 depending on the size and condition of the clip. And let's not forget double dies. While not as common on 2005 dimes as on older coins, some varieties show doubling on the lettering or numbers. Collectors always keep their eyes peeled for these, because dramatic doubling can raise a coin's value significantly. Even minor doubling can add $20 to $50, while stronger examples can bring several hundred. Auction results really drive home how valuable these coins can be. Aside from that $700 MS-68 example and the $3,000 wrong planchet strike, there have been dozens of 2005 dimes selling in the $100 to $500 range for dramatic errors. Off-centers, double strikes, and broad strikes in particular remain hot with collectors because they stand out instantly. You don't need magnification to know you've got something special. Just a quick glance is enough. It's worth noting that 2005 also falls in a period when coinage was changing in subtle ways. The U.S. Mint had been working to modernize its presses and quality control, but with billions of coins produced each year, mistakes still happened. And that's what keeps collectors searching. Among the countless ordinary coins, there are always a few extraordinary ones waiting to be discovered. What makes the 2005 dime story so captivating is that tension between common and rare. On one hand, billions of them exist, and you probably have one sitting in a drawer right now worth exactly 10 cents. On the other hand, if it's pristine or carries a dramatic error, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And the only way to know is to look closely. So the next time you get change and see that small silver-colored dime dated 2005, pause for a moment. Look carefully at the details. Is the strike centered? Does it show full luster and no marks, maybe even worth grading? Could it be an off-center strike, a broad strike, a double strike, or even a wrong planchet error? These treasures don't announce themselves. You have to search for them. And that's what makes coin collecting so thrilling. Because at the end of the day, a dime is never just a dime. It's history in your hand. It's the story of Franklin Roosevelt's legacy, of the U.S. Mint's massive production, of rare mistakes that slipped through the cracks. And for some lucky people, it's the story of turning 10 cents into a life-changing discovery. That's the hidden beauty of the 2005 dime, and why this little coin deserves far more attention than most people ever give it.